We are back with the Boxing Ego review for the final press conference, Ryan Garcia versus Rolly. Now, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts, kind of what went on in the press conference. I will say it was pretty dysfunctional, meaning you had people talking on the mic multiple times, like talking over each other and chaotic in that way. Um, with that being said, I would say it was the best that I've seen for this particular fight. I will say that. I think the Wade Plemons dude, he did much better than when they had Dougie Fisher doing the hosting and Rick Reno or whoever else they had. He did a lot better job kind of orchestrating and asking the questions. A lot. I'm talking about a lot. So for the hosting, they also had the DAZN guy do the hosting. But if you guys recall my video, the DAZN guy that was asking questions, some felt he was being biased towards Devin Haney, and then Bill Haney like went off on him and called him a POS. So there were no real interactions like that here where the host was being fair to everybody. So I could respect that. So he did a much better job. Again, bit dysfunctional and chaotic, not really in the layout or the hosting, but just people talking over the mic. Teofimo, he's dressed like Iron Man when he was trying to figure out the Iron Man suit. He had the silver mask. I don't know what it was about. Lucha Libre. Me, I'm an old school cat. Like, I got an old school mindset, even more so than my years on this planet. And I feel like boxing doesn't need gimmicks. I am not a big fan of any type of gimmick, whether it's music, movies, but definitely boxing. I think there's a level of rawness and purity in boxing that is already there, so you don't have to enhance it. It's like a good steak. If you have a good cut of meat and you cook it well, salt and pepper will do. You don't have to over season it. You don't have to do too much. You know, you could baste it with some butter, salt and pepper, and you got a delicious steak if you eat steak. You dig? So I don't like all this contrived stuff. Even the fight taking place in Times Square and outside and all that, like, to me, is too gimmicky. I'm not a fan of that. Just, you would be better off putting this in a venue, charging people. See, and that's another thing. Because when you charge people, people had to pay their hard-earned money to go and be there. So likely they are either diehard boxing fans, somewhat of boxing fans, or they're with somebody who is a boxing fan. Like, your girl might not be into boxing, but you guys are a couple, so you bring your girl to the event. You know what I mean? Versus when it's like some open walk-up forum, like fighting outdoors, it's kind of corny because you could just see a crowd gathered, have no interest in following boxing or getting to know the sport, and you just see a crowd. So naturally, a big place like New York City, you're going to want to see what the crowd is on and what they're about. But that doesn't really build lifelong fans. I don't want to go too far in terms of ranting on other things. Back to the press conference. These are just some of my sidebars that I've been wanting to get out in my content. Make sure you guys subscribe for boxing talk and boxing news. As far as the press conference, there was moments where Oscar De La Hoya, he got up. He wasn't feeling what Bill Haney was saying. Bill Haney said something to the effect of, how you going to say Golden Boy got 3 main events? What are you talking about? You a liar. Either way, Oscar popped up. He wasn't feeling it, and he acted like he was trying to pull up on Bill Haney on the stage. Like, enough of this talk, and like he wanted to run the fade. He wanted to get to squabble with Bill Haney. Bill Haney knows how to, I guess, press people's buttons. He pressed Ryan's buttons in this press conference as well. And you've seen Ryan, who's been a lot more chill than the Devin Haney fight buildup. He's been a lot more reserved. He dressed like a public defender for this particular event for whatever reason. Definitely not a tailored suit. It looked like a public defender when you can't afford one and the court appoints one to you. He had like these MC Hammer pants and Kirk Franklin shoes, baggy, a baggy suit. You know what I mean? It looked crazy. But overall, he's been more chill for the buildup. And surprisingly so, with the sparring tape and the history he has with Rolly and some of their old interviews, I thought it would go off the rails a bit more. But Rolly and Ryan, they were able to sit next to each other. I don't know if it's maturity. I don't know what it's about. But Rolly, he's been a lot less over the top that as we've seen him in the past, So that was surprising. Other than that, Ryan's been chill, except for Bill Haney. He called Bill and Devin some BZs, some BITCHs, you know what I'm talking about, in this press conference. He said, I wasn't on Ostarine, I didn't take Ostarine, and I whooped your son. Now, the Haneys, their brand has plummeted. The fall from grace is immense, and it showed. Every time they walked out, when Bill Haney got on the mic, anything to do with the Haneys, even when Devin was speaking, pure booing. So that means you're getting booed on different coasts. Because remember, the earlier in this video where I told you the DAZN host offended Bill Haney and Bill Haney called him a POS. Bill Haney, if you remember what he said, see, I don't forget what people say. I told you I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. If you remember, Bill Haney said, that's because we're in L.A., Los Angeles. Ryan's from Victorville. So, of course, the Hispanics, yada, 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 they're voting and rooting for Ryan because of where this is located. So, basically, we're not going to get a fair shake, right? So, that was on the West Coast, where I'm from, West Side, right? You don't have no excuse because now you're on a completely different coast and you're still getting booed, right? You're on the East Coast. You okay, fine. Previously, you said the crowd was being biased because you were in LA and they were pro Ryan Haney fans or Ryan Garcia fans, right? So you said you wasn't gonna get no love. Plus, you said the host was asking the wrong questions and not giving your son credit. But then now it's the same thing, no matter where you're at. Devin Haney was talking. He was like, Ryan's voice changed. Ryan's off Ostarine. I mean, to be honest, it's the same thing. The Haneys, I get it. You don't want to be cheated. That makes sense. But the shtick it's the same thing. Every time there's a press conference, it's like, Ryan, you're on something. Then there was a weird moment where Bill Haney kind of started going at Derek James, and he was like, yo, Derek, where were you for the weight cut? How come he tested positive? Are you going to ensure that he doesn't test positive? Like, almost like shoveling all of that on the trainer, Derek James, as if somehow he had some involvement or set it up or whatever. Derek James, I know Derek James, very professional. He didn't really entertain it. At first, he started answering. Then it looked like he was like, I'm not answering to Bill. And then he politely moved the mic away from him and just pretty much refused to speak, which was an excellent move because Bill Haney likes to, try to push the pace and like aggravate you. I don't know. I don't know what his end game is, but Derek James wasn't having it. Derek James was like, all right. He's like, you got it. Like, I ain't got nothing to say. So, all in all, it was a solid press conference. A lot of questions here. A lot of questions. This whole Turkey, decision to do a fight on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to me, doesn't really make sense because you're cannibalizing the other fights where you have T.O. dressed up like the Silver Surfer, Ryan and Devin and Bill going at it, and Bill popping up at the media day. That stuff is going to overshadow a fight that people don't even really want to see, Canelo Skull. And guys like Munguia Surase, even though it's a rematch, and F.A. Ajagba, and in a way, these other Saturday and Sunday cards, because there's just at least drama. And drama sells, and cussing and pushing and shoving. And Barbosa got slapped by Teofimo. These other cards can't really compete with the circus act of what this Times Square card is. So it's kind of getting left in the dust. I know there's people who may have watched the Ryan Garcia build up and press conference. Are they watching the weigh-ins and the press conferences for Canelo, the face-offs for Martin Bakoli, F.A. Ajagba, all these other fights happening on Saudi soil? So to me, I think it's weird. It's just too clustered together. You would have been better off having a month of ring fights, meaning this Saturday we have a fight, next Saturday we have a fight, and in the final, third week we have a fight. Clustering them all together in different regions, Vegas and Saudi and Times Square, is not really happening for me. And the energy seems down to me. Let me know if this feels like a big, huge fight week for you. Something just seems like it's missing. That's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think.